Welcome back to my bomb shelter. Today I want to show you how to do something with your watermelon rinds. So I grew up my entire life thinking that watermelon rinds were utter garbage, something you throw away once you're done with the red part, the good part. However, since meeting my wife, living with my wife, I've actually come to realize there actually is a better way to make use of those watermelon rinds. And that is you can actually make a kimchi out of them. So what I want to show you is how you actually go about doing that. It takes a little time, but it's definitely worth the effort. So here's what you're going to need. Watermelon rinds, garlic, salt, preferably large grain kosher salt. However, if all you guys regular salt, that will work too. Gochugaru. It is a foundational building block of Korean cuisine. Green onions, scallions, whatever you want to call them. Sesame seeds for a little bit of flavor, mostly for texture. Secret stuff. This is my mother-in-law's homemade maesil. You can buy store-bought in a Korean grocery store. It is plum syrup. It is essentially what it translates to. Don't want to buy this, don't have it. Sugar is fine as well. Big bowl. Torture device, also known as a marionette. Good for slicing things. Also your fingers, so watch out. Plastic wrap. So first up, what we're going to do is we are going to prep the watermelon rinds. What we need to do then, use a knife, preferably appropriately sharpened. All right, so what we're going to do is start with the watermelon rind. We're trying to take out the green piece, but we're not trying to, obviously take out the white part. It's okay to leave a little bit of the red, obviously not too much, but you don't have to go crazy overboard trying to get rid of the whatever is left of kind of the fleshy piece. But roughly what you're trying to do is use your clippings to get it down to something like this. Assume you're working through that. I'm going to snap my fingers and it's all going to be done now. To this. Next stage is to now slice the rinds up a little bit smaller so we can get them prepped for the marionette. So nothing too crazy about this process. You're just going to want to kind of get them in roughly the shape to make them more bite-sized. And then maybe just one something like this. So you're going to be doing that with all of the rinds you just got done getting the green part off of. So once again, we're going to turn this into this. Next is my least favorite part of this entire process, which is using the marionette. The marionette, to me, is essentially a torture device. You could obviously do this with a knife if you don't have a marionette. But since I got one, I'm kind of begrudgingly going to use it because it does actually save me a lot of time. So here's the marionette. Pretty obvious what you need to do. And then you basically just start doing this motion here. The lower you get on here, the more dangerous your hands and fingers become a part of the kimchi. It's not required, but what I'm going to do, I have knife gloves wrapped in surgical gloves. I am now, hopefully, as prepared as I can be to not rip my hands apart. So let's go ahead and keep doing this. Oh man, I hate this. I feel my fingers getting cut every time. As you'd see, without these gloves, the tip of my thumb would have been damaged in the process of using the mandolin. Now that we actually have all this cut up into slices, the last thing I'll do before moving on to the next step is just kind of going through it, and anywhere where I see like this, a whole slice that's just the flesh, I'm going to go ahead and just toss that. It does not make good kimchi. We're now finally ready to actually move past prepping the rind and to actually now start to make the kimchi. First step is to add your salt to your kimchi rinds. Sprinkle your salt into the bowl. Then start to mix with your hands here until all this salt is going to be well dissolved into the mixture. What we're doing is we're trying to use the salt to draw out the water, the residual water that's left in the rind. This is ultimately what will make your kimchi taste crispy rather than soggy. So really make sure you do a good job mixing this. Cover in plastic wrap and let sit for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, retoss the rinds and then recover for another 30 minutes. Once you're done with salting the kimchi, all you're gonna do is just rinse it out kind of really well in cold water in a sink. I didn't show you just because my kitchen is a little bit chaotic right now. Now that I've washed the rinds, now comes what I think is actually the most important part of this process, which is squeezing the rest of the water out of the watermelon rind. You squeeze these out, really use as much of the force as you possibly can to get all that water out of here. That should be the end of all the hard stuff. Now comes hopefully the easy part. After squeezing out all the residual water you can out of the watermelon rinds, the final step of the process is to just add everything up, mix, and finish all the ingredients here. So while I was salting the watermelon rinds, I went ahead and chopped the green onions and minced garlic, so I'll go ahead and add those in now. Next comes the gochugaru. Be very, very careful as you mix. Always err on the side of less. You can always add more as you mix. So I'm going to do 3 spoonfuls here. Meishio, I got an older one here I'm going to use just in case. And to top it all off, just some sesame seeds. Some people prefer to mix without gloves. I think it enhances the flavor. All right, taste test along the way. I think I'm doing okay with the gochugaru, but pretty spicy, pretty salty. I'm gonna add some sweetness back in. Put it into my hands. Final step, add this now kimchi mix into a glass container, plastic container, however you want to keep it stored. Taste testing this again now finally after it's done. Even though I rinsed it really well, I think I used a little bit too much salt. But overall, turns out great. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. This is my favorite kimchi to make. Please leave a comment if you do this yourself, how it turned out. Would love to know. Thanks and see you next time.